What is up, my friends? Hello, hello. Oh, not this. How's everybody today? Happy Saturday. We're back to Zelda. My hair's a mess. It's disgusting outside. It's been raining all day. But we are back. We are here. I caught up on The Amazing Race this afternoon. I hadn't started the season at all, and I watched all 3 episodes and had such a good time. It's so nice to have, like, real Amazing Race in the airport back on TV. I feel like the stuff they had to do was very specific to where they were. Because I don't think I watched the last couple of, like, charter flight seasons that I have heard were not as good anyway. But the last season I remember watching, the season that got interrupted by COVID, it felt like, and like, you know, it's incredible that they managed to do it at all, but it felt to me like a lot of the stuff that the activities that they had to do, the tasks in the leg design felt generic a lot of the times. It was like, go to this place and do these things that you could do anywhere. Go to this place and feed a horse. I swear that was one. They had to, like, get the things from an area that they were in and feed a horse. The tasks. I said what I said. So it was nice in these first few episodes, primarily in Thailand. One was using metal detectors in the desert. Yeah. I mean, they've had ones where you're, like, on the beach and you have to go looking for things in the bottom of the ocean or whatever. I feel like I've seen metal detector-y things before, but it certainly felt like they were, they were doing their best given the unprecedented circumstances of the pandemic, but the tasks felt a little like you could do them anywhere. I guess I'm just gonna call them tasks. I watch a lot of Taskmaster, leave me alone. But I liked the, like, paper versus plastic in Vietnam of the rice paper and the wrapping, the, like, scooter parts, the sword, and what was the other one that everybody actually did? Sword play, or the other one? Oh, spa day. Certainly specific to where they were. I don't know. I feel like I would have absolutely gone to do swordplay and then been totally screwed. Kind of the way it felt like all the teams who went there were. I said this in the Discord, but practicing with a stick for safety reasons makes sense. But then the fact that you can only show it with, like, you can only present the task with the sword, but you're never allowed to practice with the sword, feels impossible. Speaking as, like, not to get really nerdy about it, but to get really nerdy about it, speaking as someone who has worked with a bunch of different kinds of weapons, like, that especially if you're talking about timing, the weight of the weapon matters. And if you're going from using a round stick to a sword where they care about what edge is facing out, it feels very difficult to not be able to practice with the thing that you have to do your presentation with. Spa day for you. You're avoiding all dance challenges. Dance challenges always have strict judging, for sure. I mean, I feel like my strengths lie in memorizing choreography. And I almost certainly would have gone for that one because I've seen, like, of course, a massage sounds nice, but I've seen the massages on The Amazing Race, and people are always, like, crying. I think this is not as bad as, like, they've done foot massages that look like some of the worst things that have ever happened to people. Obviously, this one was not totally pleasant, but certainly didn't seem quite as bad. And I guess if you know exactly how long it's going to take, the suction, the cupping. That's right. They've done that before, which has never seemed like something I personally want to do. Like, you do you, and I guess it works for some people in some ways, but that's not for me. Scott, I was just thinking of you. I almost posted to the Discord yesterday because we haven't seen you in a while. How is your business going? Perfect timing. We did say massage. Something else I like about this, the leg design so far has been that most of the things they go to have a limited number of spots. And so if you get there after 5 teams, you have to wait until there's a spot available for you. And so that kind of like additional risk versus choosing to go do the thing you think less people will do, to guarantee yourself a place to do it, I think is an interesting wrinkle to bring back that I feel like used to be more common than it is now. It's been a great first 2 weeks. Hooray! That's exciting. I thought it was interesting that the flights to Vietnam were so far apart, but that ultimately that didn't matter at all, because then the thing they had to do next in the morning was in 15-minute increments. This is why you never give up on Survivor. It's why you never give up with the Amazing Race. Because you never know when the next thing you do is going to make everybody wait until a thing opens in the morning. I also liked that like floating market delivery clue task. I think task is an appropriate word. Now I'm all like conscious about it, but I don't think it's wrong. It felt like, or not felt like, it was a thing that everybody just had to do. It wasn't a detour, it wasn't a roadblock, it was just something that was part of the game. And I like things like that, where you've got everybody in the same place, all doing the same thing. The Lotus roadblock looked so hard. I mean, maybe it wasn't if you're a really detail-oriented person, which I feel like I am, but some people were just there forever, and even the wading through the water would not have been ideal for me as a short person in general. I hated the fruit delivery task because it was very dependent on the boat drivers. That's part of the Amazing Race, though, right? Like, being reliant on taxi drivers and your plane not getting delayed and these kinds of things, I feel like just is part of, like, real Amazing Race. I don't know. But it was also a little bit like, are we going to sit here and wait to go next, or are we going to go do the next one and then come back? I was surprised. There was one team that was like, we're going to go do the Pomelo pickup, or we're going to go do scoop up, because we think more people will do stock up. And I thought for sure the market task was the harder one. As one of the teams pointed out, given that the list was only written phonetically, they couldn't even show it to people who read Thai and be like, this is what I'm looking for. Can you just get this for me? It entirely had to be spoken verbally to the best of their ability. I was thinking, too, a lot about how so much of it could be luck of the draw of, like, where your race goes. Because, you know, Victor and Jacqueline? Oh, man. Why can't I remember her name? Jocelyn. Have a bit of an advantage in these first couple legs because of speaking some Thai based on speaking Laotian. I'm not sure which is the correct word. Whereas, like, a lot of teams will have an advantage if you start out in Spanish-speaking countries or countries that at least speak a Romance language, so you can kind of get by. So as much as they had an advantage in these first couple legs, that's not going to last forever. And similarly, I feel like my odds would be better at the start if we started in, like, South America. Amazing Race is 100% the reality show I would go on if I were to go on one. It's one I've loved nonstop since it started airing, whereas I fell off Survivor for a while and now I'm back and, like, love talking about the strategy of it. But I just especially, I love the way the Amazing Race gets you get to see so much, and I think that's really cool. In past seasons, Spanish and Arabic are the two languages that help the most. That makes a lot of sense because, like, even though I know there are more speakers of other languages, like, the spread of Spanish and Arabic, I feel like, are really dramatic. Spanish, at least, because of colonialism. And so you have maybe the most diverse opportunities to use Spanish versus, like, how many countries, like, in how many countries do they speak Chinese, even if there may be the most Chinese speakers in the world, for instance. Hi, Corn Dog. Still on strike. It's cold outside. It is cold outside. Yeah, it seems like the strike is expanding, not really getting anywhere. Well, as in, the negotiations are not getting anywhere. The strike is doing what the strike has to do. In related UAW news, I don't know why it is, but the Alamo Drafthouse Cinemas here in both Brooklyn and Manhattan both voted to unionize. With the UAW, I don't know why. They're not auto workers. I don't quite understand how some of the unions work. Although some, like, arts job I applied for was also going to be, I would have had to join the UAW for it, which I was like, I'm happy to join any union, but that it's confusing to me that that's the one that you're in. Hindi as well, just due to the population of India. Yeah, for sure. And that one might have more spread to some other countries, again, because of, like, British colonialism. I don't understand any of this, to be honest. We had some bigwigs tell us they were making progress, but we don't believe them. I think that's fair. I saw the sound alert. Did you hear it? I didn't hear it. Do I not have the monitor turned on? Is that why? You heard it. Okay, so it's just me. I wonder why. Oh, it does say monitor and output. Huh. Okay. Whatever. As long as you heard it, that's what's important. Yeah, so we have the Zelda success. And there is also technically a Survivor sound alert. Oh, man. Yeah, we've just been chatting about the new season of Amazing Race because I'm all caught up now. Hello, Draconian Progeny. Hello, hello. But yeah, you get Spanish speakers in, obviously, Spain, but in so many South American countries and Central America, which is like a huge swath of geographical places where you could travel to a lot of different countries and still be speaking the same language. I don't know about all of Morocco, but in Tangier they speak Spanish because it's so close that you can see Spain from the coast. So when I traveled to Tangier, I didn't speak French or Arabic, which are the national languages, and nobody there really spoke English, but I was traveling with friends of mine that I was studying abroad with in Madrid, and so we communicated with people in Tangier in Spanish. Some restaurants, none of the restaurants had menus in English, but some of them had menus in Spanish, so we were like, we could get somewhere. We got by on French when we had to, because it's close enough. But yeah, I would be at a total loss if we were in most East or South Asian countries. I have like the teeny tiniest smattering of polite Korean, but nothing that would be of like real use. If I were to go on the race, I think I'd brush up on it a little bit. I also have a tiny bit of Hebrew, but that's going to be no use almost anywhere. But even just being able to like decipher alphabets other than your own, I feel like is helpful. And a lot of places will appreciate that you're trying and not just being like, speak English at me. Can you drive a stick shift vehicle? I used to be able to. I learned when I was a teenager. I'm out of practice, and that's certainly a thing I'd get back in practice for before doing the race if I were to do it. But it is something I've done. I used to be good at it. One time when I think I was in college at the time, my parents sent me to go get the emissions checked on our stick shift. And I like rolled up to this place and I got out of this 1996 Volkswagen Jetta. And the guy got in the car and he was like, "You drive a stick?" This like little teenage girl. And I was like, "Yep." He was very impressed. I felt very cool. Just put it in first, just keep it in first gear, putt around town, you'll be fine. It's like getting out of first gear is the hardest, and then you're basically fine. Getting started is the hardest part, and then like once you're moving, shifting is a lot easier. But like I used to parallel park in Chicago in a stick shift. It would come back to me, muscle memory, like riding a bike, but it's always more stressful than driving an automatic for sure. No, thank you. Where possible, no, thank you. Yeah, I guess in the pandemic seasons, it was like all self-driving, right? Because they were avoiding interacting with taxi drivers and stuff. So it's good. I like having that back. The more like interaction with the place that you're in and like getting around the way people in the society there do, the better, I think. We love a tuk-tuk. You gotta love a tuk-tuk. Yeah, I think if I had the right, I'm trying to think what I would need in a partner to do the race. I'm good at words and puzzles, languages. I'm not fast. But I'm trying to think of times where like it's good enough for just one team member to be fast. I feel like if you're literally racing, it's both people trying to get somewhere, and having one teammate be fast is not good enough. So I would obviously work on my cardio, running with a weighted like vest or whatever. I don't love eating weird stuff, and I know that doesn't come up as much anymore because they were like, oh, maybe we don't just make fun of sort of the same way that Survivor did. They were like, maybe we don't just make a bunch of Americans go vomit up other people like culture's food. But you know, then we did have the express pass in this very first episode of this season, being eat fried insects. I don't think that's for me. Someone who's fast and strong so they can carry you at speed with our 2 backpacks that I think historically weigh like at least 30 pounds. I just did my farm share distribution shift this morning, and I was carrying like 40-pound boxes of vegetables. And like, it's not the weight that's difficult. It's like the shape of, like, my arms aren't that long. The shape of the box was the problem. Like, I can lift heavier weights than that, but it's all about compactness. Easy. Yeah, just carry me and 60 pounds worth of backpacks, no problem. A common winning strat on The Amazing Race to have only one person have a backpack with stuff. Sure. I've piggybacked 5 people at once before. Well, Amy, you're tall and I'm short. But also, that sounds like a lot. Yeah, I can picture a team that did that. Only one backpack with stuff. I can't remember their names, but I can see them in my mind's eye. They wore red. It was a husband and wife. I want to say one of their names started with a D, but I don't know if that's true. It was a lot. My knees have never recovered. Oof. Yeah, I don't know if we could get by whoever, me and my mystery teammate. I've had like several different friends that I've been like, we're gonna run the race with over the last decade plus. And it has just never come to fruition. I was trying to think if my brother and I could do it. We certainly have very different strengths, and I think that would be valuable. I wonder if we could... I don't think we really get on each other's nerves anymore. But we've also not spent more than a few days together at a time in 15 years. So, I can hear it a little bit. I just don't hear it as loudly as I don't hear it as loudly as the background music. Yeah, that one's new too. I figured I'd throw that in there because we kept talking about the Survivor credits. And I was like, let's get some Survivor music in here. All right, we're going to jump over to Zelda. It's Zelda time.